Good morning. It is 9:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. How are you? It's been a wild weekend. I mean, we have trade deals being negotiated with China and Switzerland. We have prescription drug costs being cut. And we have the man behind all of it at a podium right now in Washington, D.C. We're joining Donald Trump live as he gives remarks on the executive order that he signed, slashing prescription drug prices and giving updates on the trade deal with China. Let's listen in. This is DJT live now in the Oval Office.
The most difficult from what I understand. I mean, I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine who's a businessman, very top guy. Most of you would have heard of him. A highly neurotic, brilliant businessman, seriously overweight, and he takes the fat shot drug. And he called me up, and he said, President, he calls me, he used to call me Donald, now he calls me President, so that's nice respect. But
he's not talking about Chris Christie, is he?
Very successful, very rich.
Oh, no, definitely not. Definitely not. Sorry.
Because he's got comments. President, could I ask you a question? What? I'm in London, and I just paid for this damn fat drug I take. I said, it's not working. He said, I just paid $88, and in New York I pay $1,300. What the hell is going on? He said, so I checked, and it's the same box, made in the same plant, by the same company. It's the identical pill that I buy in New York, and here I'm paying $88 in London. In New York, I'm paying $1,300. Now, this is a great businessman, but he's not familiar with this crazy situation that we have. But he was stunned. But it was just one of those stories. And I brought it up with the drug companies, represented by somebody who's very smart, good person, too. And we argued about it for about half hour. And then finally he just said, because they can't justify it, he just said, look, you got me. You got me. I can no longer they've been justifying this crap for years. They said, oh, it's research and development. Well, I said, well, research and development, other countries should pay research and development too. It's for their benefit. It was just one of those things. And the other countries would set a price, and they'd meet the price, and they'd say, if you don't meet the price, you can't sell it in our country. I said, well, then you walk away, and they'll call you back, and they'll sell it in the country. But now they'll have to do that. So for the first time in many years, we'll slash the cost of prescription drugs, and we will bring fairness to America. Drug prices will come down by much more, really, if you think. 59, if you think of a drug that is sometimes 10 times more expensive, it's much more than the 59%. It depends on the way you want to analyze it, but in one way you could analyze it that way. But between 59 and 80, and I guess even 90%. So when I worked so hard in the first term, and if I got prices down, remember I was the only one to ever get prices down for a full year, but I'd get them down like 2%, and I thought it was like a big deal. Well, we're getting them down 60, 70, 80, 90%.
We're listening to President Trump inside the Oval Office as he breaks down his latest executive order, slashing prescription drug prices on Super Talk.
But we'll not be able to do this any longer to these countries that have been so tough. They've been very tough, nasty. It's trade. It's trade. And pharma is also very powerful. And the Democrats have protected pharma. The Democrats have protected pharma. These are the Democrats. And by the way, I just called the Speaker of the House, and I just called the leader, our leader in the Senate, John Thune, Mike Johnson. Spoke to both of them. I said, when you score, you're going to have to score two things. You're going to have to, number one, score that hundreds of billions of dollars of tariff money is coming in. But even bigger than that, you're going to have to score that your cost for Medicaid and Medicare and just basically pharmaceuticals and drugs is going down at a level that nobody has ever seen before. It'll pay for the Golden Dome. I see the Golden Dome is there, see? That'll easily pay for the Golden Dome. And we'll have a lot of money left over. We need the Golden Dome, by the way, in this world. Although this world's a lot safer today than it was a week ago.
Amen to that.
No,
I'm seeing a lot of people in the YouTube chat weighing in saying, hopefully this brings down the cost on Avonex or EpiPens, and we'll see. It looks like it just may.
70% more for prescription drugs than we spent in the year 2000. Think of that. Our country has the highest drug prices anywhere in the world by sometimes a factor of 5, 6, 7, 8 times. It's not like they're slightly higher. They're 6, 7, 8 times. There are even cases of 10 times higher. So that you go 10 times more expensive for the same drug, that's big numbers. Even though the United States is home to only 4% of the world's population, pharmaceutical companies make more than 2/3 of their profits in America. So think of that. With 4% of the population, the pharmaceutical companies make most of their money, most of their profits from America. That's not a good thing. Now, I think, by the way, I have great respect for these companies and for the people that run them. I really do. And I think they did one of the greatest jobs in history for their company, convincing people for many years that this was a fair system. And nobody really understood why, but I figured it out. For years, pharmaceutical and drug companies have said that research and development costs were what they are, and for no reason whatsoever. They had to be borne by America alone. Not anymore, they don't. This means American patients were effectively subsidizing socialist healthcare systems in Germany, in all parts of the European Union. They were the toughest of all. They were nasty. And I see that. I see that with trade, too. European Union is in many ways nastier than China. Okay? And we've just started with them. Oh, they'll come down a lot. You watch.
Now, I know you guys don't see this behind the scenes, but when Trump said China, Mason just popped up and got his finger ready to go on the hotkeys.
I'm ready.
He was so ready. He was so ready. We're listening to President Trump in the Oval Office giving remarks about the slashing of prescription drug price costs and that executive order he just signed, plus giving updates on the trade deal with China.
And very unfair. So they're going to have to pay more for health care, and we're going to have to pay less. That's all it is. And believe it or not, because it's really the world we're talking about, not just the European Union, but because it's the world, the numbers are for the healthcare company not as bad as you would think. They'll make the same. I think the healthcare companies should make pretty much the same money. I really don't believe they should be affected very much because it's just a redistribution of wealth. It's a redistribution where it could be the same top line, but it's going to be distributed differently. Europe's going to have to pay a little bit more. The rest of the world's going to have to pay a little bit more, and America's going to pay a lot less. Again, because it's a much smaller population than when you think of the whole world. So basically what we're doing is equalizing. There's a new word that I came up with, which I think is probably the best word. We're going to equalize.
I just came up with it. It's a brand new word.
What Europe's going to pay, we're going to all pay. Now, there may be some countries in dire need, and I would be willing to sacrifice that and help them. But it's called Most Favored Nation. We are going to pay the lowest price there is in the world. We will get whoever is paying the lowest price. That's the price that we're going to get. So remember that. So we're no longer paying 10 times more than another country.
Sounds pretty good.
Whoever is paying the lowest price, we will look at that price and we will say that's the price we're going to pay. Most favored nations. That's what it is. One breast cancer drug costs Americans over $16,000 per bottle, but the same drug from the same factory, manufactured by the same company, is 1/6 that price in Australia and 1/10 that price in Sweden. 1/10.
Tell me how that's fair.
The identical product.
Tell me how that's fair.
A common asthma drug costs almost $500 here in America, but costs less than $40 in the United Kingdom. So $40 in the United Kingdom, which is where this gentleman told me he paid a small amount for his shot. But think of that. So $40 versus $500 here. That's not even bad. There are much worse examples. And the weight loss drug, Ozempic, costs 10 times more in the United States than in the rest of the developed world. 10 times more. Why? Why? What did we do?
We have a market
Suckers.
for it.
But we never had a president that had the courage to do this.
True.
And nobody knew the system like I do. I mean, I've gotten to know this system so well. And I don't think it's fair that it benefits Obamacare. Obamacare is a failure. It's not a good health care.
Thank you.
It works. I made it work. I had an obligation to make it work, or an obligation to let it die. I chose that we had to make it work. I had to make it as good as possible. And I had a choice. I could have let it fail or make it as good as possible. As good as possible means it was still not very good, but it survived. And we did the right thing. But this makes everything work. And I don't want to have a bad form of health care work because of the fact I was able to cut drug prices by 80 or 90%. So we're going to maybe come up with something. I think this gives the Republicans a chance to actually do a health care that's much better than Obamacare.
Let's hope
and for
so.
less money, which if you guys would work on that along with Congress. But I do want to say,
I love how he looks over there and goes, if you guys would work on that, and I'm thinking to myself, if you guys would work on anything.
like hell for the drug companies. And they knew they were doing the wrong thing. And it's going to be very hard. I was just telling the leader and the speaker that it's going to be very hard for the Democrats to vote against the one big, beautiful deal. The greatest tax cuts in history, greatest everything, but now you have the big drug prices because that's going to be included. It makes that whole situation different from a scoring standpoint. I just told them, I called them up about this. I said, I'm going to do something that's going to be very monumental, and you're going to be scoring. You better tell your people that this is going to score really well, and then add hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs to your list also. But as big as the tariffs are, this is something that really hits quickly. 5 years ago, I signed an executive order to confront this disaster, but only confront it in a minor way. It was a good confrontation, but never to this extent. And it took people a little while to understand a very complicated system. But Joe Biden, without any knowledge of what he was doing, terminated the policy and then pretended to negotiate under a new system. And then you take a look, 5 out of the 10 drugs that he negotiated are now over 200% more expensive in America than the rest of the world, and far more expensive than when he even got involved. Much more expensive than when he got involved. Joe Biden's plan was as you know, because you wrote about it, you don't say it very loudly, but it was a very big failure, was his whole presidency. First, I'm directing the U.S. trade representatives and Department of Commerce to begin investigations into foreign nations that extort drug companies by blocking their products unless they accept bottom line and very low dollar amounts for their product, unfairly shifting the cost burden onto American patients. And we'll be taking a look at that very strongly. The biggest thing we're going to do is we're going to tell those countries, like those represented by the European Union, that, that game is up. Sorry.
The game is up. We're sorry. That's President Trump giving remarks in the Oval Office in regards to the executive order that he's signing, which would slash prescription drug prices by 30 to 80%. He also had some comments in there on China. We'll bring you all of that and more on the way. Plus, he's probably going to be taking some questions from the press. We'll bring you those highlights as well. A lot of news happening here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, from China to prescription drug prices. We got all the updates for you on the way. Hang out with us. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So President Trump signs a big executive order to reduce the cost of prescription drug prices, but there's people out there that can help you feel better without prescription drugs. And I'm talking about the Wellness Institute of Nashville. If you're living with back pain, knee pain, or nerve pain, You know that you don't have to, right? You can get back to your life today. The Wellness Institute of Nashville has been changing lives with their non-surgical, drug-free treatments that will target the root cause of your pain. So you can forget the pills, you can skip the surgery, because these guys specialize in non-surgical spinal decompression. It's a high-tech therapy that's going to actually heal your spine and your nerves naturally. Dr. Mitchell, he's trained all over the globe. Dr. Ashley, expert in holistic healing and chiropractic care. So whether it's sciatica, neuropathy, herniated discs, these guys have real solutions for you. And again, it's without the drugs and without the surgery. Right now, for a limited time, you can get that non-surgical spinal decompression for 47% off with the Big 47 deal in honor of our 47th president. So don't waste another day living in pain. Call the Wellness Institute of Nashville today. 615-246-5009. That's 615-246-5009. The sooner you call, the sooner you heal. Painisbad.com.
Coming up here on Super Talk 99.7, we are watching the stock market this morning, and it's going up as President Trump continues speaking from the White House. Also, a new investigation into a benefit that illegal aliens were afforded in California. Those stories and more coming up here at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joan Jones in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners. You get those at betterwater.com. Love those guys. You can listen to the show anywhere. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on TuneIn. We're on the FM dial, and you can watch the show. We're live on Super Talk TV, which is on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and our personal favorite, YouTube. Hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with your friends. If you like people being able to speak the truth, that definitely helps us further that goal. Donald Trump, moments ago, inside the Oval Office, giving an update on the trade talks that we've been having with, well, you guessed it, China.
In addition, yesterday we achieved a total reset with China after productive talks in Geneva. Both sides now agreed to reduce the tariffs imposed after April 2nd to 10% for 90 days as negotiators continue on the larger structural issues. And I want to tell you that a couple of things. First of all, that doesn't include the tariffs that are already on, that are our tariffs, and it doesn't include tariffs on cars, steel, aluminum, things such as that, or tariffs that may be imposed on pharmaceuticals, because we want to bring the pharmaceutical businesses back to the United States, and they're already starting to come back now based on tariffs.
Trump giving a bit of an update, and I think that the administration has made it pretty much clear that, you want to make T-shirts and sneakers, by all means. If you want to make the stuff that is going to impact our national security, then we need to reshore it. And that's what a lot of this trade talk has been about. They've agreed to a 90-day ceasefire, if you will, when it comes to the trade war, and they've lowered their tariffs. Scott Bessent was talking about this earlier this morning as well, and Scott Bessent deserves a lot of credit for getting China to the negotiating table and the talks that he had with them. So he went on Morning Joe earlier today to talk with Joe Scarborough about the trade deal, and Joe Scarborough doesn't seem too happy about it.
And what we have is a 90-day pause on the reciprocal tariffs. Both sides de-escalated by 115%, so we are both at 10 on the reciprocal tariffs. The fentanyl-related tariffs, which President Trump put on in February, are still on, and over the next 90 days we have a mechanism to meet with the Chinese trade delegation again. We will be discussing tariffs, non-tariff trade barriers, currency, and their subsidies of labor and capital, and how we can open up China to American businesses and rebalance what is our most imbalanced, unbalanced trading relationship.
Well, it seems like for all intents and purposes, these conversations over the weekend in Switzerland went unreasonably well. A lot of people did not expect this to be as smooth as it was, and you're seeing the markets react this morning in a very, very positive way, which goes back to what we said a couple weeks ago. Take a deep breath and wait a couple weeks and see how the markets react when this is all said and done. If you didn't panic, congratulations. If you did panic, this is exactly what we were talking about. It's 9:30 on Super Talk. We're going to talk about this a lot more on the way. Hang out with us.
Good morning. It is 9:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The U.S. and China hitting the pause button with a 90-day agreement. President Trump was just talking about this at the White House.
Both sides now agreed to reduce the tariffs imposed after April 2nd to 10% for 90 days as negotiators continue on the larger structural issues.
Yeah, President Trump making that announcement moments ago. He also said he signed an executive order that calls favored nation pricing for pharmaceutical companies, saying Big Pharma must charge now U.S. customers the same price as people in the lowest paying country anywhere in the world. A woman's body has been found in a wildlife management area in Henry County.
Police and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation are searching for her killer. Police are telling us that Christiana Shook Livingston was found in the parking lot of a Gin Creek M, that's Waste Management, on Saturday morning.
Channel 4's Alexandria Adams, the woman's last known address was in Murfreesboro. The Department of Homeland Security has launched an investigation into whether federal benefits were paid to illegal aliens in L.A. Fox News correspondent Bill Malugan is reporting subpoenas have been issued to the L.A. Department of Social Services to find out if illegals pocketed money from Social Security income payments. And Anheuser-Busch announcing it'll invest $300 million to bolster manufacturing jobs across the U.S., while also supporting veterans who are pursuing such jobs. The latest effort by that company, which has invested $2 billion over the past 5 years in its U.S. operations. This is just one of many companies that have announced plans recently to increase their investment in the U.S. Checking stock market, right now the Dow Jones Industrials are up 859. The NASDAQ is up 558. We've got the S&P gaining 130. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
9:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand, and the show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. You need a water filtration system or a water softener, you get it at betterwater.com. So it's official. The United States and China, if you will, China, they've agreed to suspend the vast majority of tariffs. So leftists and activist media personalities are obviously irate, because they wanted to tell you that there was no way that we could win this. They wanted you to know that China was going to eat us for lunch. Yet it turns out that China had a lot more to lose than the United States, and it seems like China was ready to make a deal.
Obviously.
Thank you. The agreement was announced in a joint statement following 2 days of high-level talks in Geneva, where delegations from both governments convened to address the mounting economic tensions. Breitbart has the breakdown. Under the terms of the deal, the U.S. will reduce its reciprocal tariff on Chinese imports to 10%, down from 125% level imposed during the height of the trade standoff a couple weeks back. China will match that move by lowering its own tariff on U.S. goods to 10%, also lowering from 125. Beijing also agreed to suspend non-tariff countermeasures that had been enacted since early April. A separate 20% tariff the U.S. imposed over China's role in supplying fentanyl and the ingredients to manufacture fentanyl will remain in place. Both sides described the initial moves as a step towards a more sustainable, long-term, mutually beneficial trade relationship. They pledged to continue the talks through a newly created bilateral mechanism. Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng will lead Beijing's delegation, while Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer are going to be representing the United States. They say the parties recognize the importance of their bilateral economic and trade relationship to both countries and the global economy, the statement said, adding that the discussions would proceed in the spirit of mutual opening, continued communication, cooperation, and mutual respect. The agreement pauses a rapid escalation in trade barriers that began in April, when President Trump imposed sweeping new tariffs on Chinese imports, raising total duties as high as 145% on some goods. Beijing then responded, and bilateral trade flows plummeted in recent weeks, contributing to fears of rising inflationary pressures in the U.S. and disrupting Chinese exports. Monday's deal marks the first major step back from the confrontation, though both sides emphasized that the tariff suspensions are temporary and subject to further negotiation. Our National Economic Director, Kevin Hassett, he was saying moments ago this morning that what this does is it creates an actual reset for the United States and for China.
I think it's actually quite similar to the things that we've been seeing in the other negotiations. We actually have a fresh start with China. That's the way to think about these negotiations, that we've come in with these reciprocal tariffs. We've described the non-tariff barriers and tariffs that disadvantage American workers, and folks are coming to the table, and it's really stunning how quickly they're moving and how dramatic the changes are. Imagine we're selling beef in the UK again, and China has the 10% reciprocal tariff that we're charging the UK. All of this has happened because of President Trump's leadership. He's shown people that, look, we're not going to stand for this ridiculous behavior that we've been observing over the years. But then people come in and say, yeah, you got us. And then they work out something that's good for both countries. And so I think it's really a very historic fresh start in the relationship between the U.S. and China, given how much movement there was over the weekend.
Yeah, and listen, this deal essentially was already in place before President Trump had the last election stolen from him. And China even went on record to say, listen, we would have stuck with that deal, but Biden didn't enforce it. Surprise, surprise. President Trump, moments ago, inside the Oval Office, said, look, we're not here trying to hurt China. We're not looking to hurt China. But what we're looking to do is make a good deal for America. This is moments ago inside the Oval Office.
The talks in Geneva were very friendly. The relationship is very good. We're not looking to hurt China. China was being hurt very badly. They were closing up factories. They were having a lot of unrest.
I mean, we talked about that. It could have been millions out of work, but you had hundreds protesting. Your exports were slowed to a crawl. You need the United States. China needs us if they want their economy to continue to thrive.
And they were very happy to be able to do something with us. And the relationship is very, very good. I'll speak to President Xi maybe at the end of the week. We have some other things we're doing. But one of the biggest things that we're doing, and I don't know if people realize this, but we made a great deal with China, great trade deal, but it was a much bigger deal originally, and then they canceled it right in the last day. Some of you faces I remember were there when that happened. I remember you. And we had a deal where they opened up their country to trade with the United States. And they took that away at the last moment, and then I canceled the whole thing. And then 6 months later, we ended up doing a smaller deal. But it was a big deal. It was $50 billion worth of product that they were going to purchase from our farmers, et cetera. And we agreed to that. People thought it was 15 because they were doing 15. We made it 50 because I misunderstood the 15. I said, you got to get 50. Because when I asked, if you remember the story, when I asked, what are we doing with them? My Secretary of Agriculture at the time, Sonny Perdue, said, sir, it's about 15 billion and we're asking for 15. And I thought he said 50. So I said, so they came back with the deal at 15. And I said, no way, I want 50 because you said 50. They said, sir, we didn't say that. Anyway, bottom line, I said, go back and ask for 50. And they gave us 50. And they were honoring the deal. And we would call them up a lot for the corn and for the wheat and for everything. They were honoring the deal. And then when Biden got in, they no longer honored the deal.
No, you see, Biden didn't exactly strike fear in anyone's heart. No, you knew what you could do to Biden. You could take complete advantage of him, and you could laugh at the United States. We saw that for a good 4 years with just about every trade partner in the world. Nobody took us seriously because, well, we had a president who was pooping his pants when he was going to visit the Pope. Like, we all understand that. It's hard to take that guy seriously. Now we have a president who's pushing peace through strength. We have a president who wants to put America first. And everybody's eyes kind of open up and they perk up a little bit in the chair when he walks in because they know he's not playing around.
There was nobody to call. I would call on an average of once every 2 weeks to say, come on, you have to speed it up a little bit. And our farmers were doing great. I said to them, buy more land and bigger tractors, if you remember. That's what happened. But the deal was a very good deal. But the best part of the deal was that we opened up China. China agreed to open itself up to American business to go in. And it would have been a great thing, I think, for China. They would be able to see things that they haven't seen. They would be able to buy products that they had never been able to buy. Would have been great for American business. I think it would have brought unity between China, better unity between China and the United States. And the bottom line is that they canceled it the last day. We were all set to sign it, and then I went a little bit angry. I got a little angry. I said they canceled the deal. The deal was done. It was all.
I got a little bit angry, a little bit.
All ready to be signed, and people went over. They came back to me, sir. They don't want to sign the opening up China. Well, the biggest thing that we're discussing is the opening up China, and they've agreed to do that. But it's going to take a while to paper it. You know, that's not the easiest thing to paper. But that's the single, I think, to me, some people would disagree. Some people would say we're getting a lot of money with tariffs or whatever. But, you know, especially when you add what we already have. Because remember, we're already getting the 50% on steel and different things. That's not included in these numbers. So you can add that. But the biggest thing to me is the opening up. I think it would be fantastic for our businesses if we could go in and compete with China. It would be a lot of jobs for China. It would be, I think, at a time when they can frankly use the jobs.
Yeah, I mean, they've been hurt. They've been hurt these past couple of weeks with the trade war ongoing. But President Trump has a couple things first and foremost in his mind, and that's America and the American people. So Trump is obviously putting a premium on that, and he wants to help out the individuals that are here in America. If you want to be able to do business in China, well, then it should be a bit easier than it is currently. And Trump's not playing any games. This press conference was unbelievable. So on one side, you have the announcing of the China deal, and then on the other side, he's talking about slashing the prices of pharmaceuticals in this country, which is just unbelievable. And he said, listen, I'm not doing this for anyone else except for the American people. This is Donald Trump moments ago inside the Oval Office.
I am doing this for the American people. I'm doing this against the most powerful lobby in the world, probably the drug lobby, drug and pharmaceutical lobby. But it's one of the most important orders, I think, that's ever been signed, certainly with regard to health care or health in the history of our country, and it's an honor to be a part of it. And
Yeah, it's going to be very important when people start going to the pharmacy and they realize how much cheaper their drugs are costing them. And people are only going to be able to thank Donald Trump for that. Now, do I expect maybe some activist judge somewhere is going to say you can't do that? Probably, because that's what activist judges have been doing to Donald Trump anytime he does any executive order. I think this one's going to be a little bit harder, though. It's going to be a little less popular if you want to shut down this executive order, but never put anything past a leftist activist judge. But what Trump said with this most favored nation prescription drug pricing is that the costs are going to come down monumentally.
But it's called most favored nation. We are going to pay the lowest price there is in the world. We will get whoever is paying the lowest price, that's the price that we're going to get. So remember that. So we're no longer paying 10 times more than another country. Whoever is paying the lowest price, we will look at that price and we will say that's the price we're going to pay. Most favored nations, that's what it is. One breast cancer drug costs Americans over $16,000 per bottle, but the same drug from the same factory, manufactured by the same company, is 1/6 that price in Australia and 1/10 that price in Sweden. 1/10 for the identical product. A common asthma drug costs almost $500 here in America, but costs less than $40 in the United Kingdom. So $40 in the United Kingdom, which is where this gentleman told me he paid a small amount for his shot. But think of that. So $40 versus $500 here.
It's insane. We all know it's insane. Now, Trump is flanked on his left and his right by Dr. Marty Makary, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya. He's got RFK Jr. there, along with Dr. Oz. So he's flanked by everybody there at HHS. And the guys at HHS are very, very pleased with this executive order. Dr. Jay Bhattacharya said what he's done is a historic measure, and it's something that should have been done a long time ago.
So I teach economics at Stanford as well as health policy. And one thing that's really, really simple in economics is that when you have a persistent price difference for the same product between two countries, there's something deeply wrong. And what President Trump has done is a historic measure that should have been done a long time ago. What we're going to do is make sure that those prices become much closer to equal, like a competitive market you'd expect. Right now what's happening is the American people are subsidizing in large fraction the research and development efforts for drug companies around the world by the higher prices that we pay. With this new order, Europe will share the burden of that. And in fact, if you may think of it as like as somehow it's like it's going after drug companies, actually it's helping drug companies. Because what we're also going to do with this order, what President Trump has done with this order, is he's said to European governments, look, if you are taking advantage of the drug companies by forcing them to charge very, very low prices, we're going to defend American drug companies in Europe. At the same time, we're standing up for the American consumer who's been paying far too high prices for far too long. I can go back decades to point to congressional reports after government report after government report of tremendously high drug prices, much higher than the rest of the world, and nothing has been done about it until this moment. And I'm really, really proud, President Trump, that you've done this. I'm really proud to be included in this and looking forward to the work ahead.
This should have been done a long time ago. Nothing like this has ever been done before. That's Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, head of NIH, and his comments on it. Dr. Oz called this the most important executive order when it comes to pharmaceutical pricing ever in history. I'll bring you those comments from Dr. Oz when we get back. Plus, we'll bring you the latest updates on the China trade deal, the most reaction on that, plus the executive order that's been signed today. It's a busy day, man, and we haven't even gotten to the Democrats invading an ICE detention center. We haven't even got there yet. We got a lot more to cover on the Chris Hand Show. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand for my friends at United Structural Systems. You know them as USS. We got more rain coming into the area today, and if you know you have waterproofing issues, you're like, again. And I kind of feel like you knew this was going to happen. You know, it's easy to ignore the small problems, right? A little water in the basement, damp walls after the rain. You hope it'll just go away, and sure, it dries up. But here's the thing about rain. There's always going to be more rain down the road. And when that rain comes back, so does your issue. These small problems are never going to stay small. If you're ignoring the waterproofing in your crawl space and in your basement, it's leading to wood rot, it's leading to foundation issues, it's leading to mold. Don't do that. Call USS today. USS has helped 30,000 homeowners in Middle Tennessee with issues just like yours, and they are confident in the work they do. They're not going to send a sales guy to your home. They're going to send an expert, a guy who's going to create a custom solution for you and won't leave until the job is done and you're satisfied. So whether it's foundation repair or waterproofing, USS, they're the guys to call. 615-488-7855. 615-488-7855. If you see the signs, don't wait. Call USS today or visit them online, USSTN.com.
Up ahead, the jury's been seated. Opening arguments getting underway now in the Sean Combs sex trafficking trial. Also, more arrests may be coming for 3 Congress members that got into a scuffle with ICE agents in New Jersey. Those stories at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm just sitting over here like a kid on Christmas with his fingers crossed, hoping that we hear that there's some arrests for those Democrats. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. Hang out with us. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan Jones is on the way with her newscast. I'm Chris Hand. We're brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Dr. Oz called this executive order the most powerful on pharmacy pricing and healthcare ever in the history of our nation.
Thank you, Secretary Kennedy. This is the most powerful executive order on pharmacy pricing and healthcare ever in the history of our nation. And it's only happening because we have a president with the fortitude, the guts to stand up to the withering criticism and lobbying that's going to occur as soon as folks hear about the executive order. So, on behalf of the child in Philadelphia who's got an autoimmune disease with a $1,000 a month drug, or the older woman in Los Angeles who's on a blood thinner who can't afford her copay, I want to thank President Trump. God bless you for having the guts to take on this industry.
Yeah, listen, and I think we should all be thanking President Trump. God bless him is right for having the guts to take on the industry. He said that he would, and now he's doing it. Marty Makary got up there. He's the head of the FDA. And he said that the fundamental problem in healthcare is the non-competitive markets, and that's what Donald Trump is fixing today.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the many doctors I've talked to about this very issue, thank you for taking the bull by the horns. Presidents on both sides of the aisle have talked about this and floated it and said they've wanted to do it, so you've had the courage to do it. Thank you. I've been a surgical oncologist at Johns Hopkins for 22 years, and I have seen patients suffer. We didn't take an oath to heal patients and then watch their life get ruined financially.
Amen.
With their home, mortgage, retirement, going down the drain with GoFundMe campaigns, raising money from church communities and synagogues and friends they haven't seen in 20 years to try to raise money for what? For a system where Americans have been getting ripped off by 10, 12, 15 times higher prices than we see in other countries. The fundamental problem in healthcare is that we've had non-competitive markets. And we can do little things around the edges, or we can transform those markets to competitive markets. And that's what this executive order does today. Imagine buying a Ford for $175,000, a regular car, and then hearing that people in London are buying it for $10,000 every day, all day long. That is the craziness of this system. We're going to do everything we can at the FDA to support this executive order. It's transformative. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah, listen, I think we can all agree it is very transformative. And if you found out that they were selling Fords for $10,000 in England, you'd be pissed. You'd be pissed. Many Americans are pissed at the cost of their pharmaceutical drugs. They should be. Donald Trump is going to fix that with this executive order. Salute to him and the Trump administration. It's 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's 10:01, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Sean Combs has arrived at the courthouse in New York City for the start of his sex trafficking trial, giving a thumbs up to the crowds as he entered the courtroom. Now, the jury has now been seated, 8 men and 4 women.
Attorneys will deliver opening statements, and the first witnesses will testify. Among them, Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, one of the women federal prosecutors say was coerced into drugged-up sex marathons known as freak-offs. Allegations Combs denies.
ABC's Aaron Katursky reporting 2 people were killed last night in a crash involving a motorcycle and a truck in Hopkinsville. Police say this happened on Russellville Road about 5:30 last night. The driver of that truck attempting to make a left turn when he collided with the motorcycle traveling in the opposite direction. It was carrying a man and a woman. They both died at the scene. A baseball star has been forced to make a plea for his family's safety. Here's ABC's Alex Prochet.
In what was supposed to be a triumphant return to Major League Baseball, Houston Astros pitcher Lance McCullers is instead making a plea for his family's safety.
Threatening to, find them or next time they see us in public, they're going to stab my kids to death. Things like that is tough to hear.
Visibly shaken, McCullers says his 2 young daughters received online death threats after he allowed 7 runs in the first inning of the game against Cincinnati Saturday night.
Both the Major League Baseball and Houston police are investigating those death threats. 3 New Jersey Congress members, all Democrats, could be arrested as early as today after a protest at an ICE facility in Newark on Saturday. Now, reports say Bonnie Watson-Coleman and Rob Menendez and LaMonica McIver waited until a bus carrying illegal immigrants arrived at that facility and then followed it through the gates. They were joined by Newark Mayor Ras Baraka, who was arrested for trespassing, and that is when the 3 Democrats allegedly body slammed ICE officers in an attempt to stop the arrest. That was how it sounded. The Trump administration says it is using that video of the confrontation to prepare arrest warrants for the 3 Congress members. Right now, the Dow Jones Industrial still ahead this morning, up 994 points. The Nasdaq going up 629. S&P 500 index is plus 151. Among the things at President Trump's press conference this morning, he signed an order that aims to cut U.S. drug prices to match lower ones that are seen abroad. That is the latest news. Weather is up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
It's 10:06, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. That's where you get them. If you support the show, support our sponsors. Those are great guys. You can listen to us anywhere, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, the FM dial. You can watch us. Super Talk TV is live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Got a text here from 2531. Said, I'm glad Chris shares his screen because we do all the video on YouTube. So you can, any of the audio that you hear on your radio, you hear the video. But 2531 said, I'm glad Chris shares his screen. Some things are not allowed at work, but your website is. Well, we are glad that we are decreasing productivity for you, 2531.
Happy to help.
It's America, baby. Let's shout out to 2531. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, do all the things. We appreciate it. Have you heard about this story of Qatar, the country, Qatar, giving Donald Trump a new Air Force One free of charge? Have you heard about this?
No, I hadn't.
It's a weird story, man. And part of me wonders, like, why we can't just, I don't know, build a new Air Force One for the president. Like, it just seems like that should be relatively easy, but it hasn't been. It's been taking a very, very long time, and people are getting frustrated inside the Trump administration, so much so that Qatar noticed. And Qatar's royal family reportedly offered to gift, it's a gift, a Boeing 747-8 jumbo jet to the U.S. Department of Defense to serve as a replacement for Air Force One. And President Trump said the U.S. was getting the gift free of charge. Trump posted all this on Truth Social last night, and he framed it as a win for the taxpayers. I'm curious what you would think about this at 615-737-9986. This is Trump's Truth Social post last night. He said, so the fact that the Department of Defense is getting a gift, all caps, free of charge, all caps, of a 747 aircraft to replace the 40-year-old Air Force One temporarily in a very public and transparent transaction so bothers the crooked Democrats that they insist we pay top dollar for the plane. Anybody can do that. The Dems are world-class losers, MAGA. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt stated that any foreign gift is always accepted in full compliance with all applicable laws and reaffirmed the administration's commitment to transparency. Trump is expected to meet with the leaders of Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates during his trip to the Middle East this week. A lot of rumors about Abraham Accords 2.0 on those meetings, but ABC News reported that Trump was poised to accept the $400 million aircraft. Fox News, on the other hand, said ABC News is fake news and reported that a White House official stated the offer has not been accepted, but did not say if they would accept it at a later date. So, do you want a plane from Qatar? I don't. I'll be perfectly honest with you. Qatar, I don't necessarily view them as a friend or a foe. I just view them as, a country adjacent. And it makes me a little bit nervous taking a plane from Qatar. Now, I'm sure that they would do all the security protocols and they would sweep it for everything, but I would worry about bugs. Wouldn't you worry about bugs? Things listening in. We know that Trump isn't exactly the most popular guy in the entire world. What happens if there's a technical malfunction on that plane? I don't know. I don't necessarily like it. They say the offer from Qatar comes amid Trump's frustrations with Boeing's repeated delays and cost overruns in producing the next generation of Air Force One planes. Originally commissioned under Trump's first term at $3.9 billion, the new presidential aircrafts are now billions over budget and reportedly won't be ready until as late as 2035. The timeline likely means that Trump wouldn't fly on the new aircraft while he was still in office. Again, I just wonder, why is it taking so long? Why do we have a 40-year-old Air Force One and we're like, that's okay? And why are we allowed to be over budget and behind schedule and that's okay for the president's airplane? It's really weird, isn't it? Like, we're a plane, Air Force One, and maybe I'm being too naive in all of this, and maybe it needs to take that amount of time. But 10 years? We got another 10 years to wait for a new Air Force One? That seems a little bit ridiculous. I admit, I think it also sounds ridiculous that we would take a plane from Qatar as well. But Trump was asked about this during the press conference that he had on the executive order that he was signing on prescription pills. A reporter brought this up and said, what's the deal with Qatar and the Air Force One that they want to give you?
Has Qatar asked for anything in exchange for that $400 million luxury jumbo jet? And how can the American people be so sure that they will not in the future?
Well, I think what happens with the plane is that, we're very disappointed that it's taking Boeing so long to build a new Air Force One. We have an Air Force One that's 40 years old. And if you take a look at that compared to the new plane of the equivalent, stature at the time, it's not even the same ballgame. You look at some of the Arab countries and the planes they have parked alongside of the United States of America plane. It's like from a different planet. And it's close to 40 years old, might be more than 40 years old now.
I mean, that's a little embarrassing, isn't it? We're the United States of America. We're the world's leading, first and foremost superpower. And we have a 40-year-old plane. A 40-year-old plane. It's embarrassing. And then they say it's going to take 10 years to build us a new one. also embarrassing. I don't know which one is more embarrassing. I think it's probably the latter. But Trump doesn't seem pleased about this one iota.
And we, when I first came in, I signed an order to get it built. I took it over from the Obama administration. They had originally agreed. I got the price down much lower. And then when the election didn't exactly work out the way that it should have, a lot of work was not done on the plane because a lot of people didn't know. They made change orders that were so stupid, so ridiculous. And it ended up being a total mess, a real mess. And when I came back, I said, by the way, what's going on with the Boeings that are coming in? Well, sir, they're way behind. And they are. They're way behind. They were way behind. Another mess that I inherited from Biden. And it's going to be a while before we get them.
Yeah, they say 2035. So I don't know, just some quick napkin math. If the timeline is correct that President Trump is asserting, they were discussing this under Obama. So 2015, 2016, 2015. And now they're saying that the planes won't be ready until 2035. So just 20 years to build an Air Force One. Like this is ridiculous, right? Like we can all agree that this is ridiculous.
And I think Qatar, who has really, we've helped them a lot over the years in terms of security and safety. I think they, and very, very nicely, and I have a lot of respect for the leadership and for the leader, Qatar. And I think they knew about it because they buy Boeings. They buy a lot of Boeings. And they knew about it. And they said, we would like to do something. And if we can get a 747 as a contribution to our Defense Department to use during a couple of years while they're building the other ones, I think that was a very nice gesture. Now,
I think it's a nice gesture, too. I do. Like, it's a great offer. I don't think we should take it. I don't, like, again, I'm not anti-Qatar, but I'm not pro-Qatar. And I don't like what could be on that plane. And maybe it's just the conspiracy theorist in me. Maybe my tinfoil is a little bit too tight. But I don't think we should accept a plane from any foreign government. It should be manufactured right here in the United States on a timeline that makes sense also. Not a 20-year timeline to build a damn plane. Like, that's ridiculous. It's unsustainable. That shouldn't be done. And if Boeing can't get the job done, maybe we need to look elsewhere. But I don't think that we should be looking to Qatar, as nice of a gesture as it was, as President Trump says, to replace Air Force One. And heck of a gesture. Heck of a gesture.
I could be a stupid person and say, oh, no, we don't want a free plane. We give free things out. We'll take one, too. And it helps us out because, again, we're talking about we have 40-year-old aircraft. The money we spend, the maintenance we spend on those planes to keep them tippy-top is astronomical. You wouldn't even believe it. So I think it's a great gesture from Qatar. I appreciate it very much. I would never be one to turn down that kind of an offer. I mean, I could be a stupid person and say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane. But I thought it was a great gesture. And I think it was a gesture because of the fact that we have helped and continue to, we will continue to, all of those countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and others. We keep them safe. If it wasn't for us, they probably wouldn't exist right now.
No, he's probably right. Pretty much correct. Very nice gesture. Still don't want the plane. Now, complicating matters further, Boeing's performance has prompted both past and present administrations to consider drastic alternatives. During the Biden administration, Air Force Secretary Frank Kendall reportedly explored switching contractors or even using an European aircraft manufacturer, Airbus, a move that would have been unprecedented. There were even international White House discussions during Trump's first term about canceling Boeing's contract or pursuing legal action due to chronic setbacks and complications, such as FAA certification delays and structural design flaws. Yeah, I would rip that contract to shreds. Why do we want to do business with a company that is promising a jet in 20 years? Seems ridiculous. Equally ridiculous, I think, is accepting a jet from Qatar. This is the same country that shields the leaders of Hamas, right? Like, they're not exactly the best people in the world, right? Let's be perfectly honest. I'd be nervous about what they're putting inside the wall panels on that plane. It's just me. Again, maybe I'm wrong, and I'm open to that possibility. I think that the more realistic situation would be switching it out entirely and going with a different company because Boeing can't get their crap together, and they haven't been able to for a long time. Plus, with all the Boeing scares that we've seen over the past couple of years, do we really want our president flying around in a death trap? No, not necessarily. I wouldn't, and I would assume that you wouldn't either. But it's just a story that we're going to be paying attention to. Trump says it was a very nice gesture. It was a very nice gesture. And the leftist media has been very upset about this on both sides. I don't understand why they're getting all in a tizzy over this. I think that we shouldn't accept the plane, but to be upset just seems ridiculous. And they are. They're always upset.
And I think this was just a gesture of good faith. And I don't get it. Someday it'll be like Ronald Reagan. They decommission them. You know, they get to a certain age, they decommission them. It'll go to my library. They're talking about going to my library in years out. But I thought it was a great gesture. And it's something that was done by Ronald Reagan. They actually decommissioned the plane, and he put it in his library. And it actually has made the library, I think, a Boeing 707. It's actually made the library more successful. So it was good.
Do you plan to use the plane after you leave office?
No, I don't. No, it would go directly to the library.
So that's Trump answering those questions about Qatar. There was a lot of questions being asked about him, and one of the questions that came up was this Zelensky-Putin meeting that is going to be taking place. And this is an exciting development. And, you know, we can also talk about India and Pakistan. That was an exciting development over the weekend as well. But they're saying that Putin and Zelensky are going to be sitting down and meeting face to face. And Zelensky made as much of a comment over the weekend saying he's willing to meet with Putin personally. But he demands ceasefire talks before. Breitbart has a story. Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky said he would be willing to personally meet with Vladimir Putin for peace talks in Istanbul next week, but he continued to demand that a ceasefire be established before negotiations begin. Donald Trump was asked about this during his gaggle with reporters inside the Oval Office as he was making these announcements about the China trade deal and the executive order on prescription drug prices, and he said that he hopes he could be in attendance for the meeting. And listen, I'm here for that. Sign me up. I think Trump needs to be in attendance for this meeting.
On the meeting with between President Putin as well as President Zelensky, if President Putin doesn't show up to these talks in person in Turkey, will you join Europe in putting higher sanctions on
If I felt it would be important toward getting the deal done, I'm the one that insisted on the meeting. They couldn't get a meeting because one said ceasefire, one said no ceasefire. It was going back and forth. I said, look, at this point, we got to stop it. Just go to the meeting. The meeting's been set. Go to the meeting on Thursday. And if I thought it would be helpful, I don't know where I'm going to be at that particular point. I'll be someplace in the Middle East, but I would fly there if I thought it would be helpful.
If he can help bring peace, Donald Trump will fly there. And there's a lot of people saying that Donald Trump is the reason that there's a ceasefire today between India and Pakistan, that he was instrumental in bringing that about as well. We'll talk about that when we get back, plus bring you the relevant audio from Donald Trump discussing this during that press conference. It is 10:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Nashville's mayor makes a move on ICE detentions in the city, and President Trump takes a victory lap in a wide-ranging Oval Office press conference. That and more coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. Yeah, Mayor Freddie's probably had a tough weekend. I wonder if he was even able to get some good time with Mom in. He's been so heartbroken over everything with the illegal aliens.
Wow.
I just hope that he was able to get a moment of peace and, get some rest. He's just been disheveled. It's been a mess.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw him at the steeplechase this weekend.
Was he crying the entire time? Was he really there?
I think so. I think I saw because they had a.
Oh, he's so heartbroken over the illegal aliens. Hold on, I got to go to a horse race.
Let me go watch horses run in circles and make a couple jumps.
Heartbroken.
Bah.
That's what I do. Whenever I'm feeling sad, I just go enjoy a horse race. It just clears everything right up.
Just helps the world. Heals the world.
Listen, I just get into my derby vest and I get down there and it's like, it's
put on your knee-high boots.
It really makes me relax a little bit. All right, we'll talk about Freddie a little bit. He gave some more comments this week. We'll talk about him and the Democrats who assaulted ICE agents on the other side of Joan Jones's newscast. It's still Joan Jones for right now, although I do see Ken Weaver mulling about. Have you noticed him mulling?
He's mulling.
He's mulling.
Mulling.
He's ready for some headlines, baby.
Yeah, he's geared, ready to go.
Ken Weaver doesn't play any games.
No, absolutely not. Why would he?
He never has.
He's an award-winning newscaster.
He
got no time for games.
When he was a little kid, they were like, "Do you want to go play Little League?" And he said, "No, I want to break news."
He said, "No, it's top of the hour."
I said, "I'm not going to break windows. I'm going to break news, Mom." And I said, That's some kid.
That's our Ken Weaver.
That's Ken Weaver. Donald Trump is very proud of what happened with India and Pakistan over the weekend, once again signifying peace through strength. If you need a deal maker, you need to call President Trump because he's going to be there to hold hands and make everybody happy. And he did that over the weekend between India and Pakistan, posting on Truth Social. I am very proud of the strong and unwaveringly powerful leadership of India and Pakistan for having the strength, wisdom, and fortitude to fully know and understand that it was time to stop the current aggression that could have led to the death and destruction of so many and so much. Millions of good and innocent people could have died. Your legacy is greatly enhanced by your brave actions. I am proud that the USA was able to help you arrive at this historic and heroic decision. While not even discussed, I'm going to increase trade substantially with both of these great nations. Additionally, I will work with you both to see if after 1,000 years a solution can be arrived at concerning Kashmir. God bless the leadership of India and Pakistan on a job well done. The reporters were eagerly waiting to ask him about this while he was giving remarks about the executive order he signed on prescription drug prices and giving an update on the China trade deal, which the market seems to be reflecting rather positively today. This is Donald Trump on India and Pakistan moments ago.
On Saturday, my administration helped broker a full and immediate ceasefire, I think a permanent one, between India and Pakistan, ending a dangerous conflict of two nations with lots of nuclear weapons. And they were going at it hot and heavy, and it was seemingly not going to stop. And I'm very proud to let you know that the leadership of India and Pakistan was unwavering, powerful, but unwavering in both cases, and having these. They really were, from the standpoint of having the strength and the wisdom and fortitude to fully know and to understand the gravity of the situation. And we helped a lot.
Now, all media reports are saying that the U.S. absolutely helped in this peace deal. Everybody is giving the Trump administration a fair amount of props. Let's be perfectly honest, as they deserve it. I say everybody except for one reporter out of India. One reporter out of India went on Indian TV, and I have no idea what channel this is. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't know if this is big or what, but he went on TV and he lost his ever-loving mind. Full-blown meltdown, if you will, after the Trump administration announced that ceasefire between India and Pakistan.
Coming in from a third party. Clear case of overstepping. It is not the job of the President of the United States to make a claim when we haven't even agreed that this is a matter which requires his intervention. I mean, with the greatest of respect to the American president, he has no idea about the ground situation. He has no idea about what's happening here. Till a few days back, he said that this is not for him to look into, and now he's congratulating both countries trying to be a global peacemaker. And I think this is beyond him. I strongly object to the fact that the U.S. president is saying that he has sorted out the conversation between two countries. I think President Trump does not understand the importance of difference between back-channel talks or informal diplomacy or clandestine diplomacy or overt diplomacy. Somebody should think this is typical.
All these flavors, and he chose to be salty. I don't know what to tell him. I don't know who that guy is. I would put my money on President Trump helping any day of the week. It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$10:30 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell signing an executive order aimed at tracking and reporting those ICE traffic stops taking place in Nashville. O'Connell calling the operation a failure, but stopping the operation apparently is not going to happen.
We are powerless. We have absolutely no authority to instruct ICE not to carry out their enforcement actions. We have no authority to tell THP they cannot cooperate.
That's Nashville's legal director, Wally Dietz, and we're hearing from Metro Police Chief John Drake as well on those ICE detentions.
Please hear me when I say this. Immigration status is irrelevant to what we do as a police department. We rely on everyone, regardless of race, gender, ethnicity.
And there have been at least 588 traffic stops and 103 people detained. A wide-ranging press conference at the Oval Office this morning. It covered everything from foreign wars.
On Saturday, my administration helped broker a full and immediate ceasefire, I think a permanent one, between India and Pakistan, ending a dangerous conflict of two nations with lots of nuclear weapons.
The release of the last American hostage in Gaza.
They're going to be releasing Idan in about 2 hours from now, or sometime today, let's say.
And an agreement to pause tariffs between the U.S. and China.
The talks in Geneva were very friendly. The relationship is very good. We're not looking to hurt China. China was being hurt very badly. They were closing up factories. They were having a lot of unrest. And they were very happy to be able to do something with us.
President Trump departing for Saudi Arabia for his first overseas trip of his second term this afternoon. That's the latest news. We've got weather up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
1037, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Mason, look at the text line. How many texts did we get during that ad break about the Pfizer commercial that was airing? A lot.
Oh.
Quite a few. A lot of people are asking me if I'm endorsing a Schmeiser vaccine. No, I'm not. I don't choose the commercials.
Wait, I thought it was on your spot list a couple weeks ago.
No. I don't choose those. I don't. I do have a bit of an update.
Oh, yeah?
And a lot of people were mad about this over the weekend, but I'm wondering if there's some long game behind this. So there was a vaccine that the FDA pumped the brakes on.
Ooh.
And they're apparently pausing the use of Ixchiq vaccine. Have you ever heard of that? Nobody has. And I think that's part of the problem why everybody was so upset. It's to prevent chikungunya disease in individuals 18 years or older who are at an increased risk to experience or be exposed to chikungunya disease.
It sounds like you're speaking pig Latin to me.
Chikungunya is, it sounds like a dish you might be able to get in New Orleans. It is not. Yeah. Well, you might be able to, actually, but you wouldn't like it. It's a mosquito-borne viral disease that can cause fever, joint pain, rash, headache, and muscle pain. Some individuals may experience debilitating joint pain that persists for months or even years. So it doesn't sound like something fun to get. And there was a vaccine out for it, and people love vaccines. Who doesn't love a good vaccine? Let me be real with you. Everybody loves it. So they stopped this vaccine, and everybody's like, what? Science? What are you doing? And people were mad about this. So it was after 80,000 doses were distributed, okay? Only 80,000. And there was a whopping 17 adverse events and 2 deaths. So the FDA and the CDC are pumping the brakes on this vaccine. The data they got from VAERS, and a lot of people are pointing out saying like, but Bud, when you compare the VAERS, the vaccine adverse event reaction system data on Ixchiq, I believe is how it's pronounced, for the chikungunya disease. I believe that's the pronunciation.
One more time.
Chikungunya.
Yeah, I think that's right.
The mosquito bite disease.
Yeah. Why is it always mosquitoes, man?
Bill Gates, obviously. So when you compare the data with the chikungunya disease, the VAERS data, and then you look at the VAERS data on the COVID vaccine, you go, well, why would you pump the brakes on this one and not the other one that you're advertising? People are very upset about this. I think it might be maybe a bit of a long-term play. Like they're going to say, they're going to get a couple weeks away from this, and then they're going to say, look, if we can ban this one for 17 adverse events and 2 deaths after 80,000 doses, then we should be able to ban the other one after X amount of deaths and X amount of adverse events after X amount of doses, right? At least that was my view. A lot of people on the internet were very upset that the FDA made this announcement. They said that it was the worst and most incomprehensible joke of all time. Many individuals on the internet think maybe there's something larger at play. Something to keep your eye on. I'm definitely keeping my eye on it. On the border, though, man, I don't know how Freddie had how Freddie, our esteemed mayor, Freddie O'Connell, I don't know how he had a good weekend with Mom after all the heartbreak that he experienced here in Nashville. I know if I had experienced that much heartbreak, I'd be having a tough time. And do you follow Breaking 911 on Twitter? Do you ever follow Breaking 911? It's his Twitter account, Breaking 911. But they describe it as this. Listen to this is their description. Nashville's feminine mayor. That's how they start.
Oh.
Well, actually, they started with a clown emoji. That should be fair. It was clown emoji, Nashville's feminine mayor. So, I mean, I want to give you the full context. Clown emoji, Nashville's feminine mayor, says the Tennessee Highways Patrol cooperation with ICE is causing deep community harms. And so, Mayor Freddie, he's setting up a fund to help illegal aliens in the city. Yes, because who needs help in this city? Well, illegal aliens do, obviously. This is, as Breaking 911 puts it, This is Nashville's feminine mayor making that announcement.
This is a tough moment, and I am heartbroken that today many of our neighbors in Nashville are experiencing fear over family separation rather than the safety we all deserve.
Everybody's fearful. Everybody's heartbroken. Everybody's so just bent out of shape about this. So they're going to be raising money for those illegal aliens who shouldn't have been here in the first place, who also had guns, who were child sex predators, and Tren de Aragua members and MS-13 members. They're going to raise some money for them. Do we have did the mayor's office put out a Give, Send, Go account that we can help promote?
Possibly, but I don't want to. I just I don't want to.
So while the city deals with, I don't know, a lot more crime and gang activity and cartel activity, we see ICE come in to help clean that up because the city's refusing to, and Mayor Freddie wants to raise money for those illegal aliens. Nice. That's probably where we're going to see him max out. I don't see him raiding an ICE detention facility because I think that Mayor Freddie is too nervous to be arrested. Listen, have you seen Mayor Freddie? He wouldn't last in prison. He just wouldn't. He's too sweet. And there's other Democrats, though, that may fare a little bit better. And I'm looking at you, LaMonica Ivor. LaMonica Ivor was one of 3 Democrats to storm an ICE detention facility in New Jersey. This was happening on Friday. And Assistant Secretary of the DHS, Tricia McLaughlin, she was not very impressed with this act by the Democrats. And she went on CNN to let everybody know that we are not messing around when it comes to these radical leftist activist Democrats.
Thanks, Victor, for having me. I'm glad I can be here to actually give viewers the facts. What happened is that these members of Congress, including the mayor as well, and a mob of protesters, as there was a bus full of detainees going through the gate, they stormed the gate and actually entered the first security checkpoint. This put law enforcement at risk, and this actually put the detainees as well at risk.
She's right. This all happened at Delaney Hall Detention Center, which is in Newark, New Jersey. May 9th, it all went down. McLaughlin is going to specifically mention the DHS body camera footage that allegedly shows these lawmakers, in particular LaMonica Ivor. She's like cross-checking Homeland Security officers and ICE officers. And now she's saying that she didn't do anything wrong. We'll hear from her in a minute. But the Democrats maintain that they were exercising their lawful oversight authority by visiting the facility. And they argue that federal laws prohibit the use of federal resources to impede congressional oversight. DHS, on the flip side of that, is saying that the lawmakers failed to provide advance notice of their visit, which they say is required, and that their actions constituted an unauthorized entry or storming of the facility. This is a private detention facility. This is not a federally owned detention facility. Yeah, you're more than welcome to come in and have oversight. You got to make an appointment. Tricia McLaughlin was not impressed with these Democrats.
If any official, including these members of Congress, want to enter the facility and take a tour, DHS is more than accommodating. But just because you're a member of Congress does not mean you can break the law, trespass, put law enforcement at risk, and storm the detention facility. I have yet to hear anyone on this network actually talk about who is in this detention facility. There are members of MS-13, known terrorists, murderers, child rapists. There are some of the worst in this detention facility, and I'm still very confused why these Democrats are so hell-bent on getting these heinous actors out of this facility.
Because the Democrats view them as voters. They don't view them as illegal aliens. They don't view them as gang members. They don't view them as terrorists. They don't view them as child sex predators and child rapists. They view them as newcomers. We learned this during the Biden administration. They're newcomers. They're voters. We need to give them a pathway to citizenship. This is why the Democrats are so upset. Everybody understands this. Now, LaMonica Ivor, she went on the offensive, if you will, not just against the ICE agents, but also in the aftermath of this event that took place in Newark, New Jersey. And I want you, if you're watching on the stream, you'll be able to see her comments, and right above it, you're going to see her pushing and elbowing her way through security here at this detention facility. And this is really, I mean, her comments make it seem like, she didn't do anything wrong. She's just there. She's a freedom fighter. But the video paints an entirely different picture here. And if you're watching on the stream, you'll see both of these happening at the exact same time. But if you're listening on the air, these are LaMonica Iver's comments in the immediate aftermath of storming that ICE facility.
We really have no idea. As mentioned, I, along with Congressman Menendez and Congresswoman Bonnie Watson-Coleman, was there to literally do our jobs. We are members of Congress. We are able to show up and do oversight statutory visits, and that's what we were there for. And then all of this commotion happened. We were trying to figure out why they were so hostile, why they were so aggressive, why they were pushing and shoving, and why all of this happened. And quite frankly, why was the mayor arrested? Because we're totally confused as to what was going on and why that happened. And
yeah, they are totally confused. I mean, if you're watching online on the stream, on Supertalk TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, you'll see this body cam footage that DHS has released where you can clearly see LaMonica Ivor throwing bows, baby. She is throwing some heat. She is pushing DHS officials. She's pushing these ICE detention facility officials. And she's not exactly mostly peaceful, if you will. I mean... She makes it seem like I was just there to get a tour, and everything went chaotic, and we don't understand why. We were being pushed, but I mean, you watch the video and you can see her. She's throwing her weight around, a lot of weight to throw around. Full disclosure, it's not a fat joke. I mean, it's just an observation. Tricia McLaughlin, the assistant DHS secretary, she doesn't buy the explanation from LaMonica Ivor. And in fact, she essentially laughs completely at it. And she says that the Dems who stormed the ICE facility will be held accountable. So we're sitting here with bated breath today, wondering if there's going to be arrests. Now, there were a few individuals there. There was Gold Bar Bob Menendez's son, you know, the Democrat who was raking in money from foreign countries to help them on the legislative side. His son was part of it. Bonnie Cole Watson was part of it, and LaMonica Ivor. If you're looking at which of these individuals are most likely to get charges, it definitely is LaMonica Ivor out of New Jersey.
Out false. That is just political gamesmanship. We have the proper permitting. We've gone through proper inspections. It's a joke. And by the way, he should not, this is a guy who is going and storming an ICE detention facility. He's putting detainees at risk.
Yep.
He's putting law enforcement at risk.
Yep.
He's joined by a mob of people who have said we should end ICE. This is nothing more than political games, and we're not playing.
So there's a member of Congress, LaMonica McIver, who says that she told USA Today that ICE asked the mayor to leave. He did. And from the video that I've seen, when he was taken into custody, he was on public property. He was no longer on the private property of Geo Group. So if he was asked to leave and then he complied, why then take him into custody?
Whether you're a civilian, a mayor, or a member of Congress, if you are storming an ICE detention facility and putting law enforcement and detainees at risk, you can bet that we will arrest you and you will face the law. You will face justice. These other members of Congress will as well, as will the other protesters, some of which were arrested.
Sign me up. I'm a big fan of Democrats getting arrested when Democrats do dumb things. It's the old adage, F around and find out. The more you do so, the more you do so. I hope LaMonica McIver gets what's coming to her. Now, the mayor of New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey, he was arrested, and good. For that, I say good. There's been a lot of reaction coming from this, including from acting U.S. Attorney in New Jersey, Alina Habba, and one Tom Homan. I'm going to bring you their thoughts on this melee that occurred outside the ICE detention facility in Newark, New Jersey. When we get back, it's 10:51 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
The last living American hostage in Gaza has been turned over to the Red Cross. We've got that story and more at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Massive news coming in from Ken Weaver. We're letting him handle that at the top of the hour. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Happening just now, President Trump has arrived at Joint Base Andrews. He's going to be wheels up for Saudi Arabia very shortly. This is going to be his first foreign trip of the second administration. So we're looking forward to the updates that could be coming out of that, especially in regards to trade and peace negotiations and more. Maybe Abraham Accords 2.0. We're focusing a bit more locally here in the United States currently, and really what happened in New Jersey on Friday, which was just absolute chaos. You had three Democrats forcing their way into a DHS ICE detention facility. This is not a federally owned, this is a privately owned detention facility where we had Reps LaMonica McIver, we had Rep Menendez, and Rep Bonnie Watson-Coleman. They all forced their way past security to get into the first security area as a detention bus full of illegal aliens was pulling in. It was chaos. These individuals, I think, should have been arrested. The only one that was arrested on Friday was the Newark Mayor Ras Baraka, and he popped up on Jen Psaki's show over the weekend to talk about that arrest.
No, they charged me, I guess, based on the charge that they can find. We was actually allowed on the property in the first place. Nothing happened for a long, long time. For at least over an hour. And then, after they finally told us to leave and I told them I was leaving, they came outside the gate and arrested me. So it looked like it was targeted.
Oh, it looks like it was targeted. They asked me to leave, and
when he got injured in a car,
we don't know what exactly happened in between the time where he was asked to leave and when he did finally leave. He's going to blame it as they targeted me. They went after me on purpose. Yeah, yep. I would wager that we did.
It certainly looked like that from watching, and I know there's lots of questions I'm sure you have, we all have. Have you heard, are those charges still pending? Have they been dropped? Have you been given any indication of that?
No, they haven't been dropped. I can't completely talk about the particulars of the case, they said, but have to appear in court again. So they have not dropped the charges. I've been charged with a Class C misdemeanor, a federal trespass.
Get that man some tissues. You were trespassing, and you're charged with trespassing. Alina Habba, the U.S. Attorney for New Jersey, on the arrest of Newark's Mayor Ras Baraka.
Well, obviously, it's an open investigation now. There has been an arrest, as you can see. And as the U.S. Attorney, I'm limited to what I can say. I think there's some obvious things that you could see, such as trespass. And I'm not going to get into the weeds about other things that may or may not be coming. The mayor was arrested. And I must say that I don't think this is good for the country. I don't think there is a reason that our interests should not be aligned when we have a very well-kept, and even the Congresswoman stated, facility. She said everybody was great. They were being fed. It was lovely. It's a new facility. And this is in order for us to give due process before illegal immigrants are deported.
I mean, that's such a great point, right? The Democrats yell about due process, and then they storm an ICE detention facility, which is what? It's a due process facility, right? Weird. So you're against due process now? I don't think they know what they're for or they're against. But we're going to hear from some of them, including Rep. LaMonica McIver. She was the one physically assaulting federal agents. She was doing her best to gaslight the American people when she appeared on MSNBC Friday evening, and we'll bring you those highlights when we return. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
11 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. And the last living American hostage in Gaza has been released by Hamas after direct talks with the U.S. Family and friends cheering in Tenafly, New Jersey, the hometown of Edon Alexander. ABC's Jordana Miller's back in Jerusalem.
Edon Alexander, he was just 20 years old when he was kidnapped by Hamas on October 7th from his military position. There have been several hostage videos released, the most recent one just in April, where you could see the stress and the fear, anxiety.
A new effort to lower the cost of prescription drugs. Here's President Trump.
Today, Americans spend 70% more for prescription drugs than we spent in the year 2000. Think of that.
Trump in the Oval Office this morning signing an executive order imposing a 30-day deadline for drug makers to lower costs or face a new rule that would limit U.S. drug costs to prices paid overseas. And markets today poised to surge higher on news of the cooling trade tension between the U.S. and China. President Trump again this morning.
After productive talks in Geneva, both sides now agreed to reduce the tariffs imposed after April 2nd to 10% for 90 days as negotiators continue on the larger structural issues.
Get ready for your sports drink or breakfast cereal to look a little different. The Federal Register today publishing a new list of approved food color additives. And now, says FDA Commissioner Marty Makary,
we are simply asking American food companies to remove these petroleum-based food colorings and replace them with natural ingredients.
Health advocates have long maintained artificial dyes can cause behavioral problems in some children. The new blue food coloring comes from algae and butterfly pea flower extract, and a white one made from calcium phosphate. A new Federal Trade Commission rule takes effect today that takes the mystery out of the final cost you'll pay for online tickets and live concerts, hotels, short-term lodging like Airbnbs. Here's Allison Kozik.
Former FTC Chair Lena Khan talked about the rule when it was announced last year.
Whatever price you see is the price that you are paying at the end.
The new rule does not stop businesses from charging fees, but it bans junk fees by requiring all pricing up front rather than tacking on extra costs like convenience fees or resort fees when you check out online. The total price also has to be displayed more prominently than any other costs.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
6 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to us by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. So many headlines you could run with as the major story today. You have a trade deal between China and the U.S. Looking to be beneficial. And then you also have the executive order on prescription drug prices, which is going to slash them by 30 to 80%. President Trump announcing this morning. You have the Democrats raiding an ICE facility in Newark, New Jersey, which is insane. Yet it seems like behind the scenes, all we can talk about is this plane coming from Qatar. I don't know why. Like that's to me is one of the most fascinating stories.
I think it's just obviously such a big red flag that nobody can take it seriously, and the fact that it's being considered is nuts to me.
Yeah, it is. It seems nuts. It seems nuts. And I like Trump. I like Trump, and maybe he's using this as negotiating leverage to get their butts in gear over at Boeing to get the plane finished before, I don't know, 2035, right? Like,
yeah, it's a fake out kind of thing.
Maybe. But we even have our hate listeners, resident Democrats on the text line are weighing in on this. Jeremiah, he said, would you be okay with Trump taking the plane? Jeremiah always texts in. He always texts in angry Democrat things, and then he never calls. We love Jeremiah. He's welcome to call.
Absolutely.
But he's would you take it? Would you take it? And it's like, do you think that just because I'm a conservative, it's like anything Trump does, I'm like, that's it. That's the best move.
Yeah, I agree with everything he says.
I don't. No. Like, full disclosure, I don't. There's a lot of things I don't like about President Trump. I don't know why you would take a plane from Qatar.
Yeah, you could sneak so many things into that thing.
We understand that Qatar has been hiding/shielding Hamas's leaders for how long now?
Yeah,
we know where they are. Like, that's Qatar. You're just shielding our enemies. Like, so we want to take a plane from Qatar? I don't know about you. I just feel like there's way too many nooks and crannies on that thing where you could hide something like maybe a listening device. I mean, and that's. I think that's about as far as it would go. I don't think anybody would.
Maybe some. You've seen how small cameras can get now.
But I don't think they would like sabotage it to the point where they would blow up the plane.
No, I don't think so either.
I think that's a bridge too far.
But like spy on war plans, see discussions being taken place in real time.
Wouldn't you want to do that if you were another country?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I
go all the way to the tippy top.
Yeah, honestly, as Trump would say, this has got to be the tippy top.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do that?
I mean, devil's advocate, I'd do it.
I would do it.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
To get advantage on somebody that
hey, England, you need a new plane? China, we got a plane for you.
Who?
China.
There we go.
You're going to love this plane.
It's the best plane.
Don't look over there. No, I mean, honestly, play devil's advocate. We would do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So I don't really want the plane.
Mm-mm.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
I think it makes sense.
Makes sense.
We don't need the plane.
No.
We don't need the plane. We do need more Democrats in jail.
Oh.
You like that radio segue?
I can get behind that.
Mayor Ross Baraka was arrested in New Jersey. This is on the heels of the ICE detention raid. It looked like an insurrection, if you ask me. You had 3 elected Democrats plus a Democrat mayor out of Newark, New Jersey. The Democrat mayor was arrested. They're debating charges for especially LaMonica McIver because she was seen elbowing and pushing and throwing her weight around when it came to ICE agents and DHS agents. And then she essentially broke her way into this ICE facility and got into the first screening area when an ICE detention bus was pulling up full of illegal aliens. You know, just the regular ones, Tren de Aragua members, MS-13 members, foreign terrorists, human traffickers, drug traffickers, people that do the jobs that Americans don't want to do.
You know, they're best friends. Ones you drink margaritas with.
Yes. Looking at you, Senator Van Hollen. Tom Homan was asked about the raid and how the Democrats are so upset about Donald Trump separating families. This is always how it goes, right? Oh, you're separating families. You're separating families. Tom Homan was not impressed with these Democrats. This is Tom Homan on Fox News yesterday.
The proper way to conduct oversight. There's a way to make appointments. Go in this facility. You don't break into the facility when a bus full of criminals are being, brought into that facility.
I mean, that seems pretty standard. When a bus full of criminals is being brought in, that's probably not the time to break in, right? Especially when you have a gang of protesters with you. Like, there was a gang of people outside that ICE detention facility. What are the agents supposed to think? I'm surprised that they didn't break out billy clubs. Can we break out billy clubs? Can we make that standard issue?
Tear gas?
Yeah, for DHS officials and ICE officials, I think they need some more billy clubs. Yeah, no, they tried to break in as a bus hauling criminals was pulling in. Unbelievable.
This is about the safety and security of the employees. This is about the safety and security of the illegal aliens.
Yep.
It's about the safety and security of the public. You just don't make an entry like that. You don't make an unauthorized entry while they're moving a bus of criminals in the facility.
Now, I know that might be hard for Democrats to understand because Democrats are used to getting away with whatever Democrats want to do. I hope that charges are being drawn up, especially in the case of LaMonica McIver, the congressional rep out of New Jersey.
There's a right way and wrong way to do it. And look, I've said from day one, you cannot support ICE. You can go ahead and support sanctuary cities, but you can't cross that line. You can't cross the line of impediment. You can't cross the line of knowingly harboring, concealing an illegal alien. You certainly can't trespass in a facility that's contracted by the U.S. government to house criminals. That'd be like breaking into, a state prison, not going through the proper protocols. This creates a huge safety crisis, and these elected politicians know that.
Yeah, they absolutely know that. Much like our own elected officials here in Nashville understand that what they're doing is incredibly wrong. Looking at you, Afton Ben. Murphy was tweeting about this a lot over the weekend. Murphy's been on a tear. I don't know if have you heard of him? Matt Murphy does afternoons here. Great guy. One of the best. But Matt Murphy is very upset about our Metro Nashville Council officials, how they're running around Nashville, documenting where the ICE buses are. That's crossing the line into impediment, and hopefully we see some more arrests out of there. I know Matt's been screaming from the mountaintop on this, but all of these Democrats who are overstepping their bounds need to be put in their place. They do. Maybe they'll learn something, and hopefully Tom Homan can oblige them with some arrests.
This isn't about the due process. This isn't about constitutional rights. This is about politics. They simply don't want these people removed from this country. They don't want immigration enforcement in this country, and that's what it's all about. They can try to hide it all they want with these protests around the facility, but we can continue to do what we're doing. That facility's got some of the worst of the worst. We're keeping President Trump's promise to the American people that elected him for the sole reason of securing the border and removing these public safety threats from the communities. That's exactly what they're going to do. They can stand out and scream all they want. They can trespass, they'll be arrested. If they impede, they'll be arrested. If they knowingly harbor and conceal, they'll be arrested. We're going to do this job for the American people.
Thank you, Tom. Listen, this is what we signed up Tom Homan to do, right? And I hope that he can bring some of that heat to some of our Nashville officials. Let's do it. If you're going to cross the line into impediment, then you need to be arrested. It's going to make a lot of people upset. But listen, you mess around, you find out. This is what we do. You want to keep messing around, well, you're going to find out a little bit harder. I'm here for it. If Democrats want to take the stand that illegal aliens are far more important than the constituents in their areas that they were sworn in to protect and keep the community safe, then good. Let them go sit with the illegal immigrants, by all means. Now, you have a lot of Democrats that are saying, listen, we're just fighting for the rights of these individuals. LaMonica Ivor says it was part of her job to push and scream at law enforcement outside the ICE facility on Friday. She had to do it. This is what she was elected to do, break the law, clearly. She said on CNN, we showed up there to do our job as members. This is LaMonica Ivor. And then again, just so you understand, if you're watching on Super Talk TV, you'll see Dana Bash on the left, Rep. Betsy Watson Coleman there in the middle, Rep. LaMonica Ivor, and then Rep. Menendez, who is the son of Gold Bar Bob. And those were the three Democrats that were at the ICE detention facility in New Jersey. But LaMonica McIver says that she was just doing her job.
It's the reason why we were there in the first place, to have a tour of this facility that had just opened up on May 1st. It had over 100 detainees. We were getting reports prior to our tour that children were there. We did not know the status of the facility or the status of the detainees. And so that is why we showed up there to do our job as members, and New Jerseyans count on us to do our job. Immigration has been something that's in the back doors, in the backyards of New Jersey, and it's our job to make sure everything is running properly at this facility.
Oh, it's our jobs to yell and scream and push and break and entering, right? It's right there in the oath. When you swear in, they say, do you solemnly swear to throw bows at ICE agents and DHS officials while you break into detainment centers? And they swear on that. It's part of the job. It's part of the gig. Rep. Bonnie Watson-Coleman, she's on this same interview, this same panel with LaMonica McIver, and she says nothing happened. Nothing happened at all. No, take that with a grain of salt.
But there's no reason for it. Nothing happened other than the chaos that they created themselves. If anything, we were pushed and shoved and found in a very vulnerable situation for the three of us.
Oh, very vulnerable. I love how she says, if anything, we were pushed and shoved. And if you're watching on Super Talk TV, you see the video in conjunction with the audio. But if you're just listening on the radio or one of the apps, you obviously didn't see it. But as she's saying that nothing happened, we were pushed and shoved, there's B-roll playing in the background of LaMonica Ivor, all two bills of her, 250, what do you think, 265, 250, 265, just throwing bows into DHS officials. So nothing happened. Nothing happened. DHS actually said they quote tweeted that where Bonnie Watson-Coleman says nothing happened, and DHS posted a tweet and said, let's check the tape. This is DHS again. If you're watching on Super Talk TV, you'll be able to see the video in conjunction with the audio. But there's DHS puts out a tweet. And they say, let's check the tape. And on the tape, you can see LaMonica McIver, excuse me, I keep saying LaMonica McIver, pushing and shoving DHS officials, and they have slowed it down. Again, this is, for those of you on Super Talk TV, you'll be able to see this chaos unfolding. And it's right by this DHS detainment fence. And she is pushing, she is shoving. You can clearly see her assaulting DHS officials. Nothing happened, though, they said. Nothing. If anything, it was the Democrats that were pushed and assaulted. Okay. If that's what you're going to go with. AOC reacted to this. AOC is very upset, as you would expect. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Anybody else miss Uncle Phil saying that? I miss Uncle Phil saying that. AOC was very, very upset at what happened in New Jersey.
What DHS is trying to say, again, they're using public intimidation because they know that they cannot come for us all. They know that they cannot come for us all. And recently what they said is that DHS is allegedly looking into arresting members of Congress.
Good. This lady was out there pushing DHS officials, throwing bows into their back, in their spine. Yes, I hope that they do look into arresting them, and I hope that we see some arrests by, 5 o'clock today. By the close of business, I hope that we have some arrests on the table.
Who were showing up for their legal and constitutional obligation to conduct oversight.
You got to make an appointment, hun. You got to make an appointment.
If anyone's breaking the law in this situation, it's not members of Congress, it's the Department of Homeland Security.
Oh, and you can tell that she's telling you the truth because she gets extra sassy there right at the end. Yeah, if anybody's breaking the law here, it is not the Democrat reps of New Jersey who are throwing elbows into the back of DHS officials. I assure you of that. That's AOC's take. It's a hot take.
It's people like Tom Homan and Secretary Kristi Noem. You lay a finger on someone, on Representative Bonnie Watson-Coleman, on Representative, or any of the representatives that were there, you lay a finger on them, we are going to have a problem. Because the people who are breaking the law are the people who are not abiding by it. And it is enshrined in the law that members of Congress who show up to ICE and CBP facilities are required to be granted access, legally required to be granted access.
Yeah, so you show up with a mob of 100 people, and then you try to break in while an ICE detention bus with 100 illegal aliens is on it is moving into the facility. You're obligated to do that. You have to do that. And AOC with a threat. The only one breaking the law here is Tom Homan. Okay. Again, the more you mess around, the more you may find out. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
U.S. stocks are soaring. The last living American hostage released by Hamas. And a search is underway in Nashville for a man who shot a Nashville Rescue Mission employee about 11 times. These stories more coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Jeez, I caught the tail end of the Nashville Rescue Mission story. That's
it's terrible.
Insane. Well, we'll be praying for everybody over there, man.
Yes, sir.
We know those guys very, very well. As you all understand, we do our radiothon with them every single year, and that is heartbreaking news. It's 11:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver on the way with the headlines. The show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, and Instagram at Chris Hand on Air. And if you want to join the show, the number is 615-737-9986. Deb in Smyrna wants to talk about AOC. What's up, Deb?
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful. Have you ever noticed that it's always the people who are either breaking the law or on the bounds of pushing the law like to recite to the rest of us what the law actually is?
Yep. And those same individuals tell us that nobody is above that law.
Exactly. Oh, and one quick other thing. I believe it was Michael Savage, but have you heard his nickname for her?
No, what's the nickname?
Alexandria Occasional Cortex.
I love it. Hey, thanks for the call, Deb. I appreciate it as always. 615-737-9986. Sally on the text line says, please stop going with F around and find out. Until anybody gets arrested, it's just F around. It's like, well, you missed the whole thing. The mayor of Newark, New Jersey was arrested. And individuals are learning if they F around. They do, in fact, find out. Mike in Nashville, let's talk about the protests and the mayor. What's up, Mike?
Yeah, here we go again, Chris. Another week, another Democratic. You know, how many times have we talked about this over the last couple? First we had the judges, got flying down to El Salvador to try to get a man released. Then we had a judge in a courtroom release a guy that was supposed to be apprehended by ICE.
Yep, Judge
Dugan. Now we got Democratic protesters, congressmen, and we even have a Newark mayor of Newark, New Jersey, have the nerve to go to an ICE detention center and protest for like what that one lady said, for murderers, killers. Tom Homan said some of the worst of the worst.
Yep.
What the hell are these people doing, Chris? Protesting to get people released that are criminals back into American society. These people, Chris, the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, he should be suspended. He shouldn't even be allowed to go back to being. They should be looking for a new mayor in Newark, New Jersey right now. This is an embarrassment that a man that's supposed to be a leader or represent his city has the nerve to go to an ICE detention center and protest for criminals. And it's a damn shame, and I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah, Mike, listen, man, I'm with you, and part of me wants the Democrats to keep doing it. Let's be perfectly honest. Yeah, by all means, go break into ICE facilities. By all means, tell us how much you care about MS-13 and Tren de Aragua members and child rapists. By all means, continue to support these individuals and screech from the mountaintops while you clutch your pearls. Before we know it, midterms are going to be here. And Mike Johnson was saying over the weekend that he thinks Trump could be one of the only presidents in 90 years to actually pick up seats in his midterm election in the House. And if the Democrats keep doing things like this, I think Mike Johnson might be right. Think about the ad material that they have on the Democrats currently. And then understand that between now and midterms, there is going to be buckets of content that we can go to because the Democrats are losing their minds over this kind of stuff. I hope that they keep doing it. I really do. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Everyone in Middle Tennessee looking at a level 1 out of 5 risk for severe weather today. If it happens, we're talking about nickel to quarter size hail, maybe winds in excess of 50 miles per hour. The timeline's going to be between 2 and 10 p.m. today. We'll keep an eye on it for you, let you know right here. Full forecast in 5 minutes. U.S. stocks are soaring on news of cooling tensions in the U.S.-China trade war, both sides agreeing to reduce their tariffs to where they were in early February, for 90 days. The Israeli military says American-Israeli hostage Idan Alexander is with the Red Cross after being released by Hamas. His friends and family cheering the news back in his hometown of Tenafly, New Jersey. Alexander's the last living American hostage Hamas was holding. Hamas still holding 4 bodies of Americans, but we understand there is even some talk still about getting those bodies out. Here in Nashville, a search is underway for a man accused of shooting a Nashville Rescue Mission employee. 44-year-old Cedric Wilson was shot multiple times as he was leaving work at the Lafayette Street location. Downtown, 29-year-old Tadarius Hunt's accused of shooting Wilson at least 11 times, and the search is on for Hunt. And the Food and Drug Administration taking the first step toward removing petroleum-based coloring from Americans' food. Here's Jim Ryan.
Synthetic food dyes are being replaced with alternatives that come from natural sources, including flowers and algae. FDA Commissioner Marty McCary promises that.
There is no increase in food prices when this happens, and there's massive consumer demand.
Health advocates have long maintained that artificial dyes can cause behavioral problems in some children.
A new Federal Trade Commission rule takes effect today. It takes the mystery out of the final cost you'll pay for online tickets and live concerts, hotels, short-term lodging like Airbnbs. The new rule does not stop businesses from charging the fees, but it bans so-called junk fees by requiring all pricing up front. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand from my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. And have you had your AC tuned up yet? You haven't? What are you doing? The heat's going to be here before you know it. And Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling wants to make sure that AC is running at maximum peak efficiency. Maybe you need a new AC. They can save you some money. TVA rebates have been extended. And right now, if you install a mini split system rated 17 SEER 2 or higher, you can get $800 back. And on top of that, qualifying customers can get 12 months with no payment, no interest, depending on your credit. That's the move. And here's an even smarter move. If you join the Beehive Club today, you'll get a $50 rebate on that AC tune-up. Then when fall comes around, you get a $50 rebate on that fall tune-up. If you do some quick napkin math, that's $100 right there. And it only costs $99 to join the Beehive Club. They are paying you to join the Beehive Club, so do it today. You get so much value, front-of-the-line service, 10% off all repairs, no overtime or holiday fees, plus exclusive Beehive member promotions. There's an exclusive Beehive member promotion happening right now. You buy one Beehive Club membership, you get one of equal or lesser value for free. Call Busy Bee today, 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833. They're the guys who I trust. You can trust them too. BusyBeeHVAC.com. 36 minutes past the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends over at Better Water LLC. If you need a water filtration system or a water softener, you get it at betterwater.com. You can find me off air online, Twitter, True Social, and Instagram at Chris Hand on air. Hit follow. I'll follow back. And make sure you're watching the show. We're on Super Talk TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Our personal favorite is YouTube. And shout out to the YouTube chat. I haven't done that yet today. YouTube chat's been jumping. Have you seen? It's been an excessive use of emojis. I'm just going to be perfectly honest with you guys. Tone down the emojis. All right? Tone it down.
No, you know what? No.
Everybody's excited.
Get them up.
We don't need that many emojis.
Get them up.
Do you use emojis in everyday conversation, Mason? I bet you do. I bet you do.
You know what? You've seen my text. You know I do. It's mostly the saluting one.
All right. What are the last 3 emojis that you got in your most recent?
All right, hold on. Let me pull my phone up here.
Pull your phone up, and then open up your keyboard. What do you got? What do you got? I have a sideways crying laughing face. I have heart eyes, and I have a whining face.
Is this on X?
That's just on your iPhone keyboard.
Oh,
yeah. This is the news we need.
This is the news
I have. Oh goodness. I have the thumbs up emoji.
Okay.
I have the melting smiley face emoji.
Okay.
And I have the saluting emoji.
I feel like yours are better than mine.
I have some new things.
Oh.
I've got a chocolate chip cookie.
Don't say eggplant, Weaver.
A pig.
Whoa.
And it looks like 3 kidney beans. What in the...
And those are your most recent.
Well, I don't know if they're my most recent, but they're right by my sleeping emoji.
That one's used often.
You dreaming of Jack and the Beanstalk there?
I'll text Ken all the time. Be like, "What do you think of that? What do you think of that last segment?" And I get like 4 sleeping emojis right back.
That and a pig on the end,
and then some kidney beans. I'm like, I don't know what that means.
I don't know what game you're playing.
This is interesting. I'll have to try to use the kidney beans in something.
We will be judging you based on your most recent emojis here on the Chris Hand Show.
You know, I was looking through mine. I see the chocolate chip cookie in mine too.
Do you have the chocolate chip cookie too?
Whoa.
Why are you giving out chocolate chip cookies to people?
I'm not. That's the thing. That's what scares me.
I've got a drop of blood too.
What's
going on, brother Chris?
Okay, I don't have the drop of blood. That's a Ken Weaver exclusive.
Got a lot of American flags in mine. A lot of fist bumps, a lot of American flags, baby. That's what my most used emojis are.
My response to Chris is all that on his text message. It's the shrug emoji.
All right, so for everybody now going way overboard with the kidney beans in the YouTube chat, make sure you knuckleheads hit like and subscribe.
That's right.
Somebody's going to come into this chat without context and not understand why there's a lot of these kidney beans. They're not going to know. They're going to be very confused. Hit like and subscribe.
We're putting kidney beans in cookies now? What's going on here?
We've been talking a lot about what happened in New Jersey with the Democrats at the ICE facility, but not to be overshadowed by New Jersey. Some Massachusetts officials got into it over the weekend as well. In fact, it was one Massachusetts councilwoman out of Worcester, Massachusetts, one of the worst places in America, I'll be perfectly honest with you. It's where my sister went to college. I know it very, very well. It is the armpit of America. So there's this councilwoman from Worcester, Massachusetts, Worcester, as the locals like to call it. And they said she incited a mob.
Oh.
Assaulted officers to stop arrest of a violent illegal alien. She said, if you're gonna try and take this illegal alien terrorist away, you got to go through me. And they said, okay. That was quick. Police are calling for an official investigation and charges against this city councilwoman for allegedly assaulting officers and inciting a violent mob to stop the arrest of this illegal alien criminal suspect in Worcester, Massachusetts. This is from Breitbart. It is another in a slew of incidents where government officials have stepped in to try to block immigration enforcement as the Trump administration cracks down on aliens with with criminal records in the U.S. Now, a local police union argued over the weekend that, all right, I'm just going to do my best. Councilwoman Edel Hahihaj. Haxihaj. All right, it's Haxhij. I have no idea.
Hijacks.
Edel Hijacks, who represents Worcester's District 5, incited a mob into assaulting ICE officers and cops during the Department of Homeland Security operation that escalated out of control on Friday. This one is not getting the coverage that New Jersey is getting, but I think it deserves the coverage as well. Worcester is we've talked about them in the past. They're the sanctuary city for trans individuals. If you remember that meeting, that city council meeting, which was it was a doozy. It was a doozy. So they want everybody to feel safe here in Worcester. And the protest by more than 24 bystanders, they were chanting, "No warrant, not the mother." I don't know what Maury has to do with this, but that's what they were chanting. And they resulted after authorities came to arrest Ferreira de Oliveira. She's an illegal alien whom local police recently arrested for assault and battery with a dangerous weapon and assault and battery on a pregnant victim. This is the Democrats for you. No. You can't take her. You don't have a warrant. You have no right to do this. Sure, she beat up a pregnant lady. Sure, she's here in the country illegally. But you got to go through me. Okay. All right. We accept those terms. It was unclear how many of the bystanders were just a spontaneous outpouring of neighbors, because this was in a residential community, and how many were there in direct response to DHS and their enforcement operation. Some news outlets reported the gathering was engineered by anti-deportation activists who got a heads up on the apprehension operation. So it's not just our Democrats here in Nashville that are giving individuals the heads up on anti-immigration enforcement. It's all over the country. These Democrats are absolutely putting the illegal aliens on a pedestal. That's what they have to do because, listen, orange man bad and all the things. They caught this on video. The situation got out of hand quick. The police union reported that it was more than a shoving match, saying in a statement, Edel Hijacks, right? Because the X is a sh in those situations, aren't they?
You got me, brother. If it's anything like the president of China, X is she.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So Hijacks incited aggression towards police during the incident. This counselor participated in the conduct of the unruly crowd and eventually assaulted both Worcester police and federal law enforcement officers on the scene. Her behavior also emboldened others to act in this same manner. And there's video clips on YouTube where Hijacks is excitedly trying to defend her actions to an officer. We're not going to play that because it was a bit dicey on the language that was used to describe the event, and I didn't find an edited version in time. The incident resulted in 2 other arrests. One was Ashley Spring, a candidate for school board in Worcester. Do you think that this will push her to the front of the school board or push her to the back of the school board? I think in a town like Worcester, this is going to make her all the more attractive to radical leftists. So congratulations. She probably just won that school board seat, which is just a damn shame. Who reportedly threw an unknown liquid at responding officers. Unknown liquids. Phil, use your imagination. Could be anything. It was unknown. Another was De Oliveira's daughter, who was arrested after she also ran after the ICE car and was kicking its passenger side. She previously had tried to block a deporting ICE car while holding her infant. Not good decision-making, if just in case you ever find yourself in that scenario. When you're holding an infant, shouldn't step in front of a car. It's probably not the best idea. This is what she did. The daughter was charged with reckless endangerment of a child, disturbing the peace, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest. Police said the infant was not injured by the grace of God during the incidents, Massachusetts Live reported. This is a developing story, one that we'll be keeping close eye on. It's definitely not the one that's gaining the most attention out of all the just wild stories we have coming out of the weekend, but we don't want this to get lost in the shuffle. You had a Massachusetts councilwoman inciting a mob of violence against DHS officials and local Worcester police officials. Crazy. Absolute insanity. What are these individuals thinking? I know what I'm going to do. DHS wants to deport this woman. I'm going to stand in front of the vehicle with a baby. It's just, why? Why? Well, because these Democrats are unhinged. These Democrats have been manipulated and brainwashed into thinking that they're some sort of freedom fighters. And so they're allowed to stand in front of police vehicles. They're allowed to throw unknown liquids at police. They're allowed to shout and incite a mob towards violence when it comes to these police officers. And they're not worried about repercussions because under 4 years of Joe Biden, no repercussions were ever there to be found. So these individuals think that they're untouchable. And I hope that Tom Homan and all of the weight of the federal government comes down on them and makes them realize that they should have never been involved in this fight because it's a losing proposition. These individuals need to have all of the charges thrown at them, every single one. And I hope that they do. I hope that they do. Now, as this all happens and you're seeing these protests and these fights against enforcement ramp up, the public is seeing this too. And you're seeing in major, major blue states a shift towards the right. And I think that this is in direct response to what we're seeing on the ground when it comes to immigration enforcement. The citizens of these areas don't want illegal alien gang members and terrorists in their neighborhood. It's a novel concept. And that goes for all blue cities and states. The majority of the residents don't want anything to do with MS-13 members, Tren de Aragua members, cartel members. They don't want anything to do with child rapists being in their community or violent offenders. Yet here we are. And in the state of New York, I think that this is affecting the polling. For some, the state of New York is showing signs of a political shift to the right. New polling indicating dissatisfaction with Democratic leadership and increasing support for Republicans. Maybe, just maybe, it's because the Republicans are putting the Americans first while the Democrats are putting the illegal aliens first. That's just my analysis of the numbers. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it has something else to do in New York. You know, their governor is acting like a freedom fighter while she's pushing more taxes on her constituents. So that could be part of it. New York State's been plagued by a number of political issues, from rising crime to immigration concerns to political corruption, all of which you can make the argument have contributed to this shift to the right. But I think that as these immigration enforcement operations continue, we're going to see more blue areas shifting towards the right because, well, it's common sense to get illegal alien gang members out of your communities, right? Yeah, you would think. It's 11:48 on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
.1153 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. In studio with Chad Benson. You have a good weekend? You guys have a good Mother's Day?
It was a quiet weekend. We were going to do some stuff. My wife didn't feel too good, so we did nothing. We ordered food.
There you go. A little Uber Eats.
Yeah, a lot of Uber Eats.
That's what we did last night. So once the kids go to bed, we'll order some Uber Eats and we'll lay low. We got some Thai food.
Oh, it's nice.
It's good. It's good. It's good.
It's good. It's good. So, what are you up to? What's going on?
Not much.
I ran errands today. I heard some stuff happen. I had the morning off, so I have no idea what happened.
Yeah, well, it's been wild, man. We got a trade deal coming with China. We got
so we got a 90-day pause, from what I understand.
90-day
while
pause.
they negotiate.
Yeah.
And the question is why. I keep going back to the why. I've only heard one person ask J.D. Vance, so do you think they're really all the horrible things that they're... Oh, yeah. So why are we negotiating with them? Why are we having anything to do with them?
They make a lot of stuff.
So I know, but I mean, why? We're basically helping funding their want to rule the world.
Do you want to just completely decouple from them?
I think that would be, well, we should have done it a smarter way. I think that would be the smart thing to do, though. Don't you?
Yeah, I actually like that idea a lot.
They send 300,000 people to go to school here. If you're a Chinese, it's not if but when they come knocking at the door and saying, hey, you need to do something for us.
Yep, 100%.
Even if you've left their country and you're third generation, you've never been to China, they'll still knock at your door and say, Grandma and Grandpa are over there.
I think one of the biggest criticisms that you could have of the Trump administration right now is the lack of deportation of Chinese nationals.
Oh, 100%.
Because we understand that they're here. We know that they've been running secret police stations and bio labs and all of that kind of stuff. Spy balloons. Why wouldn't we get rid of them? I think that you should absolutely be targeting Chinese nationals first.
And I want to know, if we're serious about this whole thing with trade, then why didn't we do it smarter? And for the first 2 years, Trump just tell everybody, hey, you start building here, you start doing stuff, I'm going to give you guys the biggest tax rebates. I'm going to make it so you can move your stuff anywhere and do it quietly, and then they go, hey, we're going to hit you guys with 200%, whatever it is, 400%, because we don't care anymore. We have nothing there.
Yeah, but I think the pressure that he put on them sped up a lot of the investment coming into America.
Yeah, but I think if you would have went at it in a different way, I think because the whole thing is we're still giving them money. We're still going to be buying stuff, and we're still going to be buying crap from them. And that's going to take that money, and they're going to put it towards what?
Yeah, but...
ratcheting up their military.
Part of me doesn't mind about T-shirts or sneakers.
No.
I think it's the important stuff.
Yeah.
Should we ever get into a war with them that we need, the steel, the semiconductors, the pharmaceuticals, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but we've got, through the CHIPS Act, and then Trump came in and really, ramped it up. That's a good thing that we have Taiwan Semiconductor here. And how serious are they about that? Would they ever go after Taiwan? Taiwan for themselves needs to move their stuff offshore.
Yeah.
Not just for us, but for themselves.
Yep, you're absolutely right. What'd you think about the Democrats invading the ICE detention facility?
Such show. It is such theatrics.
It's
right?
insane.
It's like, it is. Look, I love soccer, and every time you get touched in soccer, they all roll around. That's kind of what this was. They, oh, God. They roll around. It's like, get up. You know what? All of them. It is theatrics.
I want criminal charges against LaMonica McIver.
McIver. I don't know. I should probably get out of all that stuff, right? Like, I don't know. Who was the other guy? Was it Barack or Barack?
Yeah, Ross Baraka.
Ross Baraka.
He's the only one that was arrested outside that New Jersey facility. He's the mayor of Newark.
And their whole thing is, we already had opportunity to come here. They said it was okay. Really? Because obviously nobody told them that it was okay for you to barge in here.
Well, maybe it's okay for a couple congressional reps to show up, but not with 100 protesters and trying to sneak in while they're bringing in a bus full of detainees.
Yeah, so, I mean, the whole thing, though, is like anything. Like even our people falling around and Freddie O'Connell out there. It's all theatrics.
Well, Freddie had a tough weekend.
He did.
He's heartbroken.
Why? Because of
the family separation that's going on.
Yeah. Nobody cares. Again, nobody cares if you get arrested.
I think you could stop there.
And you're a white dude and a black guy who gets arrested.
I think you could just send that to Freddie O'Connell. Yeah. Nobody cares, actually, what you think about this.
No, but if you get separated from your family because you've done something wrong and you're just an American born and raised here, nobody cares about you.
No tears.
Nobody goes, oh, geez. Wow, you guys shouldn't do that. No, nobody cares. It's this because, and by the way, people out there who think, oh, they don't care about you either. You're just a pawn in their game.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
Useful idiots get it first.
You'll be useful until you're not.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Like, that's it. Like, what was her name? Christine Blasey Ford. She was a useful idiot until she wasn't. Nobody's ever heard from her again.
Dude.
Nobody cares.
She disappeared.
They threw her to the wolves.
Was she working at Walmart now?
I don't even know where she's at.
She can't be doing anything important with her life.
You know, but she was a hero until she was no longer of need.
Yep, 100%.
And you guys are a hero. Ask Black America how important they thought the Democrats thought they were until you found out there was going to be more Latino votes. Then you moved down.
It's true,
right?
That's one of the things that always makes me just chuckle. So you're in Newark, New Jersey, which is like a very black city in the Northeast, and you're going to be protesting for the one group that hurts Black America first.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, they're going to be they already are. They're a much bigger voting bloc already and will be the biggest voting bloc at the rate it's going. And so you've become no longer a part of what it is the Democrats need.
It's always been about new voters.
It's always what it is.
What do you got coming up on the show?
You know what? We're going to talk about that. The Southern accent. There's a big article this weekend that says Southern accent's going away.
Oh.
The Boston accent, strong as can be.
Wicked strong.
Wicked strong.
Chad's in next. It's 12 o'clock on Super Talk 99.